as now that recess is over, we're going to jump right into our science work. Go ahead and get your notebooks out, you guys. So earlier this week, Miss Kayla talked with us about coastal erosion and rock erosion. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
And way earlier in the year, Mr. Michael talked with us about different types of erosion. Do you guys remember some of the vocabulary words they talked with us about? I kind of said it in the beginning.
Erosion.
Erosion, yes, very good. So here's your vocabulary words. Please write these down in your science journals. So erosion is the breaking away of earth into smaller pieces that are picked up and moved by the wind and water. Weathering is the breaking away of earth into smaller pieces by wind and water. And landforms are natural formations of rock and dirt. Today, this is what we're going to be focusing on. Our landforms, vegetation, which are plants and trees, sand dunes, which are piles of sand, and dikes, which are barriers to keep water out. Water and wind make changes on landforms. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about how water and wind change landforms today in class through 4 different stations. Are you guys ready?
Who's ready for the fun part? This is going to be a great activity already designed for you guys. Obviously, my name is Kwame Trice. Call me Mr. Trice. And I will be here to demonstrate to you exactly what you just learned inside the classroom. And what we're going to do is, the reason why I have you out here is so that I can, as you can see today, we designed our own little beach. Obviously, it's not the exact form of a beach, but we are going to create the water version and how water plays a big part in our landform changes. So we're going to switch to our next. You can stop. Station number 2 is sand dunes. Can anyone help me explain what sand dunes are? Yes.
A hill of sand.
A hill of sand. Now, can you help him and explain to him how we knew that?
Earlier today, I was using my vocabulary.
Absolutely. And just to give you a quick review, here's our vocabulary list. Please look. It's going over erosion, which is the breaking away of the earth into smaller pieces that are picked up and moved by wind and water. Weathering. Weathering is the breakaway of the earth into smaller pieces by wind and water. Landforms obviously are, pretty sure you can tell me what landforms are.
Natural formations of rock, dirt.
Thank you. Great answer. And great ability to read. And great effort. Vegetation is our trees and our plants. And then our sand dunes, my man is sand. Absolutely. And then dikes.
Barriers to keep water out.
Great job. So after we did our vocab review, we can move on to station number 3. Questions so far? Yes.
So what's the difference between erosion and weathering?
So the difference of erosion and weathering is the beginning stage when nothing moves. Once it starts to move, that's when you have erosion. But the beginning process is always the riverbed with our fast moving water. The riverbed. How many people ever heard of that before? Do you have any ideas by looking at the pictures? You can look at the pictures and give me your ideas of what a riverbed is.
A riverbed is the bottom of a river.
A riverbed is the bottom of a river. I like how you you were able to see that this was at the bottom of the landform. However, the riverbed is usually used for what you want to focus more on is the landform around it. You see what I'm saying? So the landform around this is keeping the river from coming, out and being, exposed to the rest of the area. And it's keeping it trapped there because of the landform that's around it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's our mountaintop erosion. Can anyone tell us how a mountain erodes?
Through weather.
Through weathering. Okay, but that's the beginning stage, remember? Weathering does not cause the land to erode unless it breaks away and begins to move. So how, obviously I just kind of gave you like the transitioning point to eroding. If you see a mountain, what is a mountain made out of? Rock. So what must happen for a big, gigantic rock to erode? It must break away into pieces and move, correct? So that's going to be our focus when we complete our activity in mountain erosion. Break away into our erosion groups and activities. What I want to stress to you before we leave is how the wind and the water can have a big effect on erosion. So obviously, we can feel the wind blowing right now. And as we look around us, we can kind of see, you know, things starting to change. And if you think about how water begins to, you know, rust things, that grill over there did not just become rusty on its own. Obviously, it was some type of changes that had to, you know, play a big role and big part, even though that was weathering. Because, can anyone tell me why that was just weathering, not erosion?
Because it's the first stage.
It's the first stage, which means it did not move. The grill is still there. It's still rusty. However, it did not move. Now, let's say these stones were affected by the weather and the wind. Then we can believe that it will begin to break apart and rocks and little sediments will begin to fall off, if that makes sense. So I want you to pay careful attention to wind and water as it starts to affect our changes.